So we'll dive right in, since everybody is up and we've all danced together, so we're all now in the mood to have this panel discussion. So the 20th century was built on a basis of a carbon economy, where all the industries, all the companies were very insensitive to the impact that they were having on the world. But in the 21st century, that's not working anymore. The consumer is asking for more, not just a good product, but something where there is a value alignment with the companies, not just the product. So, which is also the topic at hand today. I'll just quote it again: how profit and purpose are combining to create the new 21st century iconic D2C companies. So when it comes to businesses with a double bottom line, meaning there is a focus on both the profit, which we all are here for, and also purpose. That becomes tricky because as a company owner, you have to focus on increasing profits, and that's your main goal. But balancing that along with purpose, it's not an easy task. Being a founder myself and doing this for 15 years, I can totally vouch for that. So for this discussion, we have a strong panel here who are all part of this D2C evolution. Some of them are very young companies, 3 to 4 years old, and some of them are industry veterans, almost 2 decades worth of experience. So I would invite my panelists to give just a quick intro, a one-liner maybe about themselves, what they do, or what their brand is.
Hi everyone. I'm Beenal. I head marketing at McMoraes. We basically enable individuals, brands, and communities to start their own merchandise range with easy tech and cool products.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Supriya. I'm the founder and CEO of Foray. We are a PETA-approved vegan and a sustainable fashion brand.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Akhil Srivastava. I'm taking care of one of the global US premium lingerie brand. That's for the plus size community and the plus size female. So I'm taking care of the India, this project for making more educated in the innerwear segment for the Indian women's.
Yeah, hi, I represent Tax Foods. We are a urban premium snacking brand trying to create better for you foods and snacks for the Gen Z market.
My name is Abhik Santara. I'm not have ever built or going to build any D2C brand, but I run an advertising global agency called Atom, and we help brands, help build brands. And of late, many of the brands have gravitated towards building a more sustainable and a more purpose-led organization, and we help create those brands. Thank you.
So, Abhik, I would like to start with you only.
Oh, okay.
Since you worked with many sustainable brands, just very recently also, and in your entire career, how do you think a D2C brand owner should think about the challenge that is, handling both the profit and the purpose part of it?
Yeah, so that is a perpetual, question that we all grapple. That is it talking about purpose going to give us the short term, because D2C brands perpetually struggle with managing short-term performance and creation of long-term brand equity. So there is always a justification that at what point should we be doing that, at what point should that become the the focus of any large brand. But I think, we have to see consumer loyalty as an ongoing process. Consumer loyalty is not something that you can take as a guaranteed fact. And when you build loyalty with consumers over a purposeful endeavor, then those eventually translate into great profits. And there is a direct correlation that many brands over the years have seen that brands with a larger purpose generate a higher trust from consumers. So higher trust means better loyalty, loyalty means better transaction, and better transaction means better profit in the short and long term.
Got it. Maybe I should also now ask Supriya, who has a brand called Foray, which is directly the product itself is sustainable. right? So how do you think about handling this challenge?
So when we talk about profit, the bottom idea behind it, the word itself connotes that we have to give value back to the shareholder or to the stakeholder. Well, in this case, we have to admit that we have to include our community, our planet as one of the stakeholders. And when you do that, everything that you do then starts working around that central and the core idea. Like for us at Foray, our purpose is to make eco-friendly fashion products the main narrative for any consumer. It should not be considered as an alternative. So when we do that, everything else around it centers around the vision that we are driven by. For example, we use material innovation. Our products are made from plant-based materials such as cork and banana. We work with artisans globally and in India. So we support 250 artisans globally, of which 200 are rural women in India. When it comes to design, we have innovations in designs whereby the same product can be versatile and can be used in more than one ways. After the purchase is completed, we support rural farmers so that they can get a healthy harvest from the monies that we are providing to the on-ground NGO. So when you are driven by purpose and everything around it then centers around it, profitability will not be a short-term agenda in that case. It has to be a long-term view. And that is how you can mirror and match the two together.
Got it. Could we maybe, Sagar, you could shed some light on some of the enablers for growth?
So I think in terms of enablers, first thing that comes to mind is that the purpose has to be very strong in the sense it should not be like kind of forced. It should relate to whatever you're making, whether it's a tech product or whether it's a D2C product. I would say that it has to be very, very much integrated with your brand and what you're trying to create. Now, in terms of enablers, one is definitely, I'm talking about from my experience, social media is one most powerful channel that, we should be able to kind of put out our idea of what is the purpose. So like for us, the purpose is the better for you snacking. Now, when we say better for you snacking, it's not just the product that we are talking about, that, you should eat healthier or you should kind of, eat my snacks, which is healthy and it's going to kind of do XYZ things for you. We are also, as a brand, when we say healthier snacking, we are also trying to promote healthier lifestyle. So our social media will not just talk about, eat our product and it will help you in losing weight or something. We're not going to talk about that. We are going to promote that, you should go outdoors. You should go on, not just sit on couch and eat my chips. That's not the kind of message that we pass on for the purpose. So we ask them to kind of go running, jogging, do trekking, multiple things around that. Second thing, further to the social media, the collaborations should be such that, you are not forcing the collaborations which are not kind of, oriented towards your purpose. So we again collaborate a lot with our athletes or dietitians or trainers or something which can talk about the purpose that you are kind of, after, and they can amplify your purpose. Third thing is the product. Like for us, there's a big challenge in the snacking industry is the packaging that we talk about. Now, everyone wants to move away from plastic, but there are no actual tangible solutions that we see in terms of packaging. So like multi-level, this multi-layer packaging is something that we cannot avoid. So there is certain element of plastic that still goes into our packaging. While we are looking out for solutions within India, outside India, who can provide us alternates to the packaging to make it more sustainable and also long-term sustaining the shelf life, we have not been able to get that. Now to do or kind of, stay focused to our purpose, what we are doing is we are offsetting that same amount of plastic that goes into our packaging by recycling the same amount of plastic with some agency. And we are spending a huge amount of money for that. So now these are the things that, can kind of help out. And last thing is the consumers. When we talk about D2C, it's all about consumers. So once consumers kind of get aligned that, you are actually kind of making some impact or trying your best to kind of, go after your purpose, then it becomes a word of mouth. That is when they start relating to you. Even if you are not able to fulfill the purpose like bang on, then they will at least be, assured about it that, this brand or this company is certainly kind of talking or working towards their purpose or whatever purpose they have picked up. And then that itself becomes an enabler for you to kind of further penetrate.
So, I mean, almost Sagar touched all these, corners for the D2C point of view. My concern, I mean, my understanding say, is as a D2C, you are as a product or services. In both case, somehow when we talk about the D2C, so performance marketing is really very important, player and key term for the entire structure. And same time, content and creative. This should be performance marketing and content and creative. It should be almost direct to the problem solving message or direct impact with the problem solving for the customer and consumer, because somehow now these days the repeat customer percentage is really very important. When somebody when we think about customer acquisition, so of course customer acquisition is a really strong strength for a D2C. And when we solve the problem by our performance marketing in a right way and the right content and the right creative, somehow the repeat customer and the loyalty and the value add-on, this will help in a 360-degree type of the D2C somehow. I mean, that's just some added.
Sure.
I would just like to add to that.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about purpose-driven brands, it's also that consumers find affinity towards brands which have a message for the planet or for the people, and that in itself forms a community. And through that community, that becomes an enabler where you can go back to them, be it with new launches or trying to create a brand ambassador within that community. So that is again an enabler from where you can have repeat sales and create customer retention and loyalty.
And if we go deeper into that, like community building, that's a buzzword. Many brands are doing that. How do you successfully garner a relationship which leads to a long-term relationship, not just a short-term one in community building?
So from a long-term perspective, it starts with having a message which is consistent. That is the key. Because a consistent message then attracts you to the right kind of audiences, the right kind of influencers to pass on that message. Your product, your story, the tools that you're using, everything has to center and align with that message. And that is the beginning of a community. Now, when you're talking about a community, like for example, if you're a fashion brand, we should not be restricting ourselves only to a fashion community. But when you talk about sustainability, you're also talking about sustainability in wellness. You're talking about a vegan life. You have influencers talking about vegan food. So a community has to be diverse enough to inculcate people from various streams, art, poetry, literature. It could be anything. And that is how you can create a very long-term view of a community.
Got it. There are also certain brands which do not have the product itself as part of the purpose. In that case, how do you, maybe Beenal, you can pitch in here, how do you actually create that relationship with the consumer?
Well, I can talk from my personal experience. It's okay to not start with a purpose because let's be honest, we started when we were 23, 24. We were like, we have a product, we want to appeal to the Gen Z, create a brand, and that's what McMoRise was. One of our best-selling products was phone cases. But over a period of time, we realized that as and when we were investing on inventory, there was a lot of dead inventory as well. Then we shifted our entire business model. To answer your question, sometimes if you don't find the innovation in the product itself, your entire business model could be catered to be more suitable to the purpose that you want to align yourself with. So we started a print-on-demand facility wherein we were only printing the product and making it into a finished good when we were getting an order. The result of that was we were not sitting on a lot of dead inventory, which we then had to figure what to do with. And we started with plastic phone cases, but now we have an eco-friendly range wherein, the phone cases are made out of bamboo, the pods are made out of bamboo. So I think once you see a journey, the consumer also kind of relates to that probably they didn't start with everything in the platter, but they kind of evolved. And the customer kind of appreciates that because you need to have honesty at your core is what I feel, You can't jump the bandwagon of being eco-friendly or just calling yourself eco-friendly for the sake of it. There has to be a journey, there has to be something more rooted towards your core, which the consumer will then pick up in your actions, in your products, in your services, and your overall life cycle.
So you're saying not just the product, but the way you engage with the consumer or the way you actually create the business itself can also be purpose-driven.
100%. So now our entire model, the kind of tech platform that we are building is print on demand. And now we are just not restricting it to our brands. We are also offering other brands who want to start their e-commerce stores to kind of associate with us, and we only make the products when there is an order. That way the overall wastage is reduced.
Right. Maybe Abhik, I would like you also to add some points here, wherein there is no conspicuous way to understand that the product is sustainable. What do you do then?
Yeah, no, so there are a lot of examples when product, the sustainability doesn't really emanate from the product itself. But, and I would not say that you greenwash the consumer, but there are many other ways that you actually build purpose into your brand. I mean, be it how you are probably disposing of, the remains of the product, the plastics or whatever, because there are, like he's saying, there are a lot of times when you cannot probably include everything, into your product to make it 100% sustainable. There are certain challenges. But how do you overcome those challenges? How do you compensate for the things that probably you're not able to do right? Those also becomes, talking points and consistent, like she was saying, communication with the consumers to engage and show that, it is not just profit which is driving the company, but there is a larger good. There is a compensation that we are doing in order to, make good. And consumers buy into those because today consumers also want us to be very careful about one critical thing. It may not be directly related to your question, but a lot of these environmental chatter and conversation matters a lot to the company, but unless and until it really manifests itself into a consumer benefit, it doesn't necessarily translate into immediate sales. Because consumers love to talk about it in boardrooms and in pubs and in other places. But when it comes to paying a premium to buy something which is larger at good but not larger to self, then obviously people cringe. And that is what, a lot of these small things that we as brands or D2C brands we are doing, they can actually become nice consumer benefit focus points for us to translate those values into business performance for brands.
Got it. So you do need those things to make the consumer put money where their mouth is.
Correct. Because consumer also is aware of the fact that not everything can be, done from top to bottom, could be managed in a sacrosanct way. But they look at those little things which therefore helps build communities, help builds conversation. Look at Tata Group. I think the biggest example that we have in front of us, closer home. I mean, it's not a company. They also make cars. They also make, gazillion other things which may not be sustainable, which may not have a larger purpose. But the company does, through its promoters or through individual activities or through company initiatives, a lot of smaller things which actually consumers see as a company which is built on sustainability, built on purpose, built on a larger good. And that's what people pick up, because different people will have different things to get attracted to.
I'll just like to add here. So right now, I just wanted to shift the focus away from marketing and from consumer and talk a little bit differently. So sometimes it need not be only about the communication that we have to the customers when you're talking about profitability and purpose, but it can also be in the way the process is managed. For example, let's say that you have a product which is into creation and there is a lot of wastage happening. Can that wastage be upcycled into creating a totally new product category in itself? So here you have a new business model, a new business role, a business purpose, a new SBU of its own, which will have its own profitability. That's another way of ensuring purpose within a product category.
Got it. Yeah.
We just did something recently because we make merchandise. Coffee mugs and sipper bottles is something that we do in large numbers. And of course, there are print defects. And there was Children's Day coming on. Our team just decided we're going to take a day off, go to the Juhu Beach, make those hampers, and just give it to anybody who was there in need. And it was something that we were anyways planning to do, and we kind of just shot it randomly and uploaded it on our social media, not to show anybody, but this was something which was actually happening. So a lot of these steps, when you take, it just builds a solid relation with the consumer also, wherein you're trying to show them the real picture, what happens behind the companies and how decisions are made. So something as simple as that could be done.
This brings me to this huge elephant in the room. Whenever we talk about sustainability, or any of impact-based things, there comes this point of, is this greenwashing? Are they actually doing what they're saying they are? So as a brand who's actually, I'm agreeing, like if you're being sustainable, how do you make sure that you gain customer trust and they don't consider that it's greenwashing?
So what is greenwashing? Greenwashing is a term basically which is coined to say that the brand is really not eco-friendly, but is using the word eco-friendly to say that, to suggest otherwise. Now, greenwashing could also mean that out of 100 products that they are selling, only one product could be eco-friendly or could be having just one ingredient which is eco-friendly. That's all greenwashing. So how do you ensure that you don't do that? Like from our perspective, where we are a sustainable brand, we have a commitment. Everything is mentioned on the website, right from the raw materials that we procure. The supply chain transparency has to be mentioned. And that all leads to the customer trust. We have images of the artisans who have made our products. So everything then you start adding up together and then passing this information to consumers. It could be even through the product documents that go out into the shipping carton or so many other places where you can be transparent about it, and that's how you build consumer trust.
So you're saying basically transparency, extreme transparency, and are you also transparent about the supply chain part?
So we are trying to, see when it comes to India, there are a lot of artisans who are in the unorganized sector. So we are trying to use technology to get it into that so that we can use blockchain, and we're working on that right now, where we can create a sustainable identity for the product wherever it goes and however it is translated into, there is a history behind it.
Got it.
I'll add a little bit to it. Other than sustainability, like obviously like I talked about the plastic thing. So again, we have been very transparent around it that, we have not been able to find a packaging solution immediately that, we are moving to a paper-based packaging or something because our products cannot have a shelf life accordingly. So we recycle the plastic and we talk about it that, okay, we are not recycling our packets. They are not possibly immediately recyclable and it's difficult to do that. So we are ensuring that, the same amount of plastic is getting recycled. Second thing is that as we are promoting or as we are talking about healthier eating and healthier lifestyle, now we are very transparent around it that, we are not making any kind of false claims that, our product or our chips or cookies or anything is going to help you lose weight and they are, extremely healthy or they're healthiest of all. It's comparable to maybe an apple or a fruit or something. No, it's a snack. Snack is for indulgence. Obviously, there is an extent because it's a tasty product. So there has to be certain kind of compromise that you have to make on the health aspect of it. Now, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to eliminate the worst elements or the kind of the ingredients as much as possible. So we have done innovation around that. We have kind of worked on a technology for 10, 11 months to eliminate oil by 65% in a fried chips. But it's still having like a still some amount of oil. The fat is 50, 60% less. At the same time, we are saying that it's a healthier alternative than your fried potato chips. It's not the healthiest of the product. And because there is a taste, there is going to be certain amount of sodium. So if you are expecting that, I've eliminated everything out of it, then it's not possible. So we are claiming only what we are kind of around. We are trying to create a healthier snacking habit and lifestyle, but we are not kind of, as you said, greenwashing in a way that, like this is the ultimate product, have it and all the ailments and all the health issues are going to go off. So being again very honest about what you are making, what you are doing and what you are trying to kind of, do around the purpose.
Got it. So basically here I understand transparency about your process, about the supply chain. And here what I hear is even if you don't have the entire chain, you're not a purist brand, it's fine if you are transparent about it and you're honestly saying what you're doing. So I understand. Do you have any points to add? Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can maybe open I've been given the time that we are supposed to wrap this up. So any questions we can take from the audience? Yes, sir.
Thanks for the interesting thoughts. One question. I think in any business, what happens is your supply chain is the most non-green or non-sustainable piece. So while we make our organization very sustainable or green products, raw material, everything, how do you take care that 44% of your business, which depends on supply chain for a D2C brand, that's made sustainable? Because suddenly you can't only select trucks which are electric driven and choose them for delivering your products. What's the solution and future for that?
You have a specific person you're asking the question to?
Panel.
Open to the panel. Would like to answer?
There's a lot of challenge. What probably I can talk from my personal experience, we started with the packaging. Like that is one thing across what we've decided. If you're doing 50 to 100 products, the packaging was different for almost all the products. What we've now identified are those eco-friendly cartons wherein we can pack the product and send it across. Also, in terms of entire, supply chain, the delivery timelines is, I think, where the challenge is, because everyone wants deliveries the next day, or probably because of Amazon. But I think having our warehouses across, the city, it kind of reduced the travel time. It kind of reduced the journey of the product from, say, city A to city B. That, I think, could be a good way to kind of reduce the overall impact that it has on the supply chain.
Thank you, Beenal. Any other questions? Yes, sir, at the back.
Hi, my name is Abhishek. My question is for the packet of chips, the wafer that we talked about. See, when the packet of cigarette will always have a disclaimer saying that smoking is injurious to health. It's been quite some time that I have not had a packet of chips, so I do not know. But do you think that mentioning something like that on a packet of chips or something, rather than saying it's healthier, can we just say that, this probably bring harm to your health, and then why worry about that 65%?
I would say it's a little, see, the thing is that in terms of, as you're talking about labeling, I would say that as a brand, what we, at least from our end, do is that according to whatever FSSAI has regulated, we stick to that, firstly. We don't try to kind of, find gray areas around it, that, what can we avoid to kind of hide some of the things or something. Whatever we are doing, we are very honest about it. If we are less in fat, but if there is carbohydrates are slightly higher, everything is mentioned out there in the packaging to the T. We don't really overcome it. We don't really kind of say we do not make any false claims, which a lot of early stage brands tend to do, because they don't come under radar of maybe a lot of government regulatories. Even in the social media or any kind of marketing communications that we are doing, we again are not trying to kind of talk something which is again a tall claim or a false claim around it. In terms of what you are saying, that can we mention on that? I would say that that needs to kind of come as an ecosystem. Like all the brands probably need to adopt similar habits. Then it will kind of create that actual impact. Otherwise, that would not happen. And from that standpoint, there is a rating system that is soon going to be implemented, where all the brands or the consumables in the food sector have to kind of they will be given a rating basis a few of the elements that go inside any kind of food product, and they will be given a rating of that it's good for health, it's okay for health, it's going to kind of impact your health. And lastly, the last thing that happens is that a lot of these products, you can say, harm your health or kind of make certain impact if they are consumed in a certain pattern or in a certain amount. Like if you are eating any chip, fried chips, maybe once in a year or something, you might not even feel the impact of it. But if a kid is consuming 2 packs a day and it's kind of consuming continuously for 2 months, 3 months or something, then the impact will be shown. So similarly, all the products, even healthier or something, will show some of the impact if they are consumed in a certain pattern and certain amount and for a certain amount of time. So I think that's something for the basic regulation. Something is coming up by FSI, which will at least bring all the products on a certain same podium, so that the comparison is easier. But rest, I would say that the consumers have to be very cautious about things, and we ensure that what we are making, we only talk about that. We are not kind of overcommitting anything around that.
Great. I mean, thanks for that. maybe when you said about the pattern or something, I mean, there is a pattern of consumption which will, lead to some science behind it.
Yeah.
Maybe it can become a very good content plan for your organization. Maybe just a thought.
Yeah. Can you repeat? I didn't get.
I said the pattern that you talked about. So there is
Yeah.
a science behind it,
Yes,
and
yes,
that pattern you talked about has a good potential to become a very good content for
Yes,
this
yes,
industry.
yes.
That's what.
It also depends a lot on the consumer's health. I would rather say that, a lot of people have their preconditions as well. So a certain product which is good for so at certain age or certain type of people might not suit another person. So that's the best a company or a brand should do, is that we be very honest about what they're making and what goes into it, not try to hide any of those elements, so that consumer can make a kind of educated choice around it, I would rather say.
Thanks for being honest.
Can we take more questions or? Yeah. Okay, so we are out of time. We'll wrap up the session. Thank you so much, the panelists, and thank you, the wonderful, patient audience. Yeah, thank you.